Welcome to the Twinkl Talks EYFS podcast. Working in the early years is busy, funny, messy, and exhausting. Join me, Shana, some of the Twinkl EYFS team, special guest speakers, and other early years practitioners as we talk honestly about our experiences. Whether you're listening for CPD, on your commute, or to help you relax, Twinkl EYFS will share everything you need to know about all things early years.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Twinkl Talks EYFS. My name's Katie.
And I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Tracy.
And in today's episode, we're going to be answering a couple of your questions about things that are happening within your early year settings at the moment. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is, should the children's key person be the one responsible for changing their nappies? Or do you think something like a nappy rota works best? So what's your experience with that, guys?
Well, I worked in preschool, so I didn't see a lot of that side of it. I mean, we did have nappies in preschool, but it wasn't like toddlers and the baby room. But when I had covered in the other rooms, I've seen a mixture, really. There has been where the key person was expected to do it, and then they had a secondary key person. So if they were in, the secondary key person would do it. And then I've also seen it where it's just been like a rota on the wall where so-and-so is going to do these children today, and then the other person will do these children. So I've seen it work both ways, and I've seen like pros and cons of both. Because sometimes the children don't want to go to certain people for their nappy changing, or they'll be like, no, I want to go with them today. And sometimes just to make your day a bit easier, you will be like, okay, I'll go do your nappy. But yeah, I've seen both sides, and I think it does work either way. But then you obviously do sometimes get blips with either one.
I think if I put on my advisory hat, having been in hundreds of nurseries over my career, I would say it's best practice for the key person to do that. And the reason we've got a key person approach in the EYFS now is a must, is because safeguarding, but also that continuity of care. So making sure that there's somebody there to meet that child's needs continuously. So I would say, what would be the impact of having somebody different every time on that? And then if we think about exactly what Charlotte said, the settings that have that buddy system, so there might be a secondary key person if you're not in that day, you can't be in every day that the children are in, or you've got that nappy rota system going. I would say have a look at that, the system you've got in place, through the lens of the new Ofsted inspection framework, because under the heading of children's welfare and well-being, for expected standard, it says that hygiene practices ensure that the personal needs of babies and children of all ages are met appropriately. Would you consider that you would meet that? I think that would be my question to you. And would you feel that you can discuss why you've got that system in place?
I love that, Tracy. Turn it back on you. What do you think? I've worked in settings where they have both, but I've always found a nappy rota a little bit more challenging, just purely for the logistics of the day, where all of a sudden you're taken away from the day and your tasks and things that you're working with the children on, because you've got 30 to 45 minutes potentially, depending on how many children are in, of nappy changing. So like you said, it needs to work within the day of your setting, but also you do need to be thinking about those safeguarding practices. So not one that we can give a solid answer to, but I do agree with what Tracy said.
So we've also seen on social media somebody asking about having to cover in a different nursery, so not the one that they currently work in. And I know some nurseries are part of chains, so there is a lot of them scattered around, and they're asking for advice because they feel very nervous about doing this. So what do you guys have? What advice do you guys have?
It is a very nerve-wracking experience, because even if you are all part of the same group, it's still a brand new nursery. You just know the policies and the procedures of how things done. It's still a different group of children. It's still a different group of staff. So it's completely understandable to feel nervous about it. But I think my advice is whenever you go to a new setting, is you just need to feel comfortable asking questions, whether that is, why is it being done like this? Or can you tell me a little bit more about this child? Where do you need me to be? But if you have clear expectations on you and what you need to do, you know exactly what to do. You have that level of clarity you get stuck in. So I always think asking is probably one of the most important things that you can do.
Yeah, I agree, Katie. I would say it might be part of your chain, but there's still lots of unknowns. You don't know the cohort of children, you don't know the staff particularly well. You won't know the routines, you won't know how the room's set up. There's lots of new things that you won't know. But like Katie said, be confident in what you do know. You know child development, you know how to communicate and play with children, and that's what you're there for. You're there to be part of that team to be able to support the needs of the children. So like Katie said, be confident in what you do know, but also be confident enough to ask questions. That way, next time you go, you know absolutely everything you need to know, and it won't feel so daunting because you won't be going to something that's a new situation.
I had to do it once, and I will say it wasn't the best, but like you said, I gave it my best shot and I asked lots of questions.
The way you led into that as well, Charlotte, of like, I had to do it once.
I had to do
like,
it once.
very dramatic.
Never again.
Dark time in my life. No, it was lovely. The nursery was really nice and the children were very welcoming because they do love a new face, don't they, when it's the same people day in, day out. But like you said, Katie, just ask questions. Don't be afraid to, like observe people as well, see how they're doing it, and go to like more senior people if you want advice on like policies, procedures, things like that. But you do know it, like the basics of like looking after the children and what you should be doing. But yeah, it is scary. I had to do like like a car journey first because I was just scared about driving there more than anything because I'd never been before. So you have that bit because sometimes people travel on public transport and it's that bit makes you nervous as well. So yeah, figure out where it is as well.
Yeah, like just like you would with a brand new job. We always say when we're given interview advice, like, if you can, do a dry run.
Yeah, plan. That's what we're saying. Plan.
A lot of the nurseries I've worked at, especially where like the chunk of my experience is, it was part of like a 3-group nursery. So we would often have the bank staff would dip in and out of whichever nursery they were needed. But obviously if someone left, it might be that the best person to cover for a few months while they found the best replacement would come from my nursery. So actually sometimes it wasn't just a day, it was a bit of a longer term thing. And it really is just a case of the overarching principles are the same. But like Tracy said, actually the intricacies of the day-to-day might still be quite different because yes, we're all following the same sets of things in both of the baby rooms at those settings, but the children will have such a huge impact on what that actually looks like in reality. Just go in with the flow, ask your questions, see how it goes. You know what to do.
So the final question was around moving to a new room. The question was, do I have a right to say that I don't want to move to a different room?
I think that's quite a controversial question. And I think it would depend. So at the end of the day, coming with my manager hat on, it's your job. So if you've been told you need to move into another room for whatever reason, your job has been employed to work at the nursery, not a specific room. So you kind of just have to do it. But with that being said, at the same time, a good management team should be taking your opinion, your perspective, and your feelings into consideration. So if someone said to me, if I was asking a member of staff to move into preschool room for whatever reason, and they said, no, I don't feel comfortable with that, we'd be having to sit down and look at what those reasons are. And actually, is it just that they don't feel that they're going to be supported throughout that process? They haven't worked with preschool before, so they're a bit nervous. Is there an issue perhaps with another member of staff in the room? It could be something as their own child is in that room, so we can't move them. It needs to be taken into consideration. But the overarching thing, from my experience, would be if you're told to do it, sometimes you just need to do it. But I know that's a bit black and white.
But you're right, Katie, because there's a lot of grey here. We don't know what the contract says. It's very unlikely that your contract is just about one specific room and doesn't have any caveat about, and at other times will be required to ... But you do have a right to, like Katie says, voice your opinion and your concern and have that discussion with your manager. This is probably a capacity thing, so they're moving people around for ratios, but do have that conversation. I think what I would be saying is, why wouldn't you want the opportunity to upskill yourself with a different age range, have something, more to put on your CV, for example, and experience a different type of room and a different type of setup? You might love the age range that you're with now and the cohort of peers that you're with now, but unless you go and try other things, you won't know if there's another age range that you like even more. So I would say, be confident, get yourself out of your comfort zone and go and have a go and try, because you might find something that you like even more than you're doing now.
I completely agree, and I've often found from my own experience, when I've been moved from preschool to babies to toddlers, every time we're like, but once you get there, you're like, actually, this is my new favorite age range now. Like, I'm comfortable and I'm confident. It just took me a couple of days to get into the swing of it.
Yeah, I agree. You don't know if you don't give it a go. It's really, really worth going to have a go, because then you get the variety, don't you? And you can't compare. You can't compare until you're there.
The person that I think is least likely to move around is someone like a room leader, because there's only a limited number of room leaders and only limited number of people who can step into it. But it could still happen in that job role. And it might be that you're even a deputy manager and you might be the upper half of the nursery's deputy manager. But if the need is that you're needed in a different room and that's on the lower half, you got to go.
I was just going to say, as a room leader of preschool, I never moved. I was in preschool for 7 years. So I'm quite jealous of people that get to move around, because there wasn't, like you said, Katie, sometimes as a room leader, there's not the opportunity there to move rooms. And during my time at my nursery, there never was. So I was always in preschool. So I think it's lovely if people get to move around, and like when I used to cover in the baby room, I used to have a great time because I'd not had that chance to, be around the little ones, as I was always in preschool. So I think if you get that opportunity to move, unless there is a very serious reason why you can't, I would say go for it, because like Tracy said, your experience is developing and you're gaining a lot more knowledge as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also an element of personal development, in the sense that if you aren't comfortable moving or you have a concern, you have to take responsibility for yourself in that situation, and you need to talk to your manager about it and be able to put forward why or why not. Because it might not be that it's a solid put in place thing. If there's valid reasons, they might be able to take that into consideration, but you need to say that as well, which is a big personal development thing.
Yeah, and you could even just say, can I try and see how I get on, and kind of have that little caveat that, I'll see how I go, and if I really don't like it, or really not, feeling comfortable there, then can I come back and somebody else be moved? Having that discussion, really opens up the possibilities the manager probably wouldn't even have thought of, because they'll assume that you're okay to move.
That's such a good point. Yeah, like there's always a way to compromise, and you're like, just give it a go. Like you said, that's actually so important. Just have a try, because I haven't actually worked with an age range that I've not enjoyed in the end. It might have taken me a little bit of time to get used to it, but it always ends up as the best age range that I've worked in when I'm there.
It's like when you offer the children a settling in visit. So that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
The children get like 3 little visits into the next room to like get a feel. They should do that for the staff as well.
Yeah, but it's exactly the same, isn't it? That kind of fear of the unknown, the anxiety around moving away from what's comfortable. It's the same as a child transitioning. The adults are feeling exactly the same, but they've got all the information, and they can also voice those concerns to have those adjustments made if they feel that that's needed.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Twinkl Talks EYFS with the Private Early Years team. As always, you can send your problems over to us on our various social media platforms, or just generally get in touch. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, X, YouTube. If it exists, we are probably on it. And in the meantime, we'll speak to you again in a few weeks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that's it for today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you would like to join in or would like to know more, then come and find us on our social media sites. We have a Facebook page, Facebook groups, an Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube. All the links of where to find us will be in our podcast description. Come and join the conversation. And whatever you're doing today, I hope you have a great day.